Hello, everyone. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. And guess who I have on today? My alarm just went off for you. Ryder Lee from Raised by Giants. How are you, Ryder?
I am doing great, Veronica. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a while. A lot has changed since we last spoke, and I'm really looking forward to talking about whatever it is that you want to talk about or whatever comes up.
Heck yes. I really enjoyed that video that you made the last, maybe a week ago or so, called Sex Gates. And everything you spoke about was, you just hit the, how do they say, you hit the nail on the head. You slammed that coffin. It was awesome. It was like I cried the first time I saw it. The next time I saw it, I got teary-eyed and I couldn't, like, I had this thing in my throat where it's like, man, it was intense. And
I put a lot of work into that video, so I appreciate you recognizing the video, and I feel like I put a lot of research and a lot of work into it. And it took me like 2 weeks to really edit that thing and get all the information and put it all together and make it a coherent piece of footage. So I really appreciate you watching that and wanting to bring me on to talk about it, because it's really interesting. And I'm under the impression that the entire Bible is written in code, and
it
it
is.
isn't meant to be taken literal. This is why Jesus spoke in parables, in Matthew 13:34 says, without a parable, Jesus never spoke, So even knowing, reading the Bible and people knowing that Jesus spoke in parables, people still take the Bible literal. And it really blows my mind. And that's a big reason why I wanted to put the video together, was to let people know that it's not meant to be taken literal. It's meant to be allegorical and metaphorical.
Very true. You know, I found it interesting the part where you spoke about, first of all, because I'm trying to put together a class called Sex Magic, and everything that you were speaking of, I was learning too, and I had learned about other things, just asking myself questions, and also in the book, Mary Magdalene manuscripts, where they talk about how important it is, the Kundalini, when it's the male and the female, and the snake beings intertwine. And it's also like goes with our vertebrae. There's 33 vertebrae, 33 stairs. I mean, I've always thought about that too. The number that was given to me in another program was 33. So a lot of things, coincided with that video, and things that, the rising and the falling of the Kundalini itself, and how important it is to have sacred sex, because, and again, this is for adults only, no children. um it's in this day and age, and more so now, just because of the technologies, and I don't know, just you can see more things, and it's I feel in my heart that sex should be sacred and only be done like with a person that you love at the time. And what is love? I've heard Carrie Cassidy define it as the highest, utmost admiration mixed with lust. So that's one definition. I was thinking the other day, well, to me, love is admiration, but like, I don't know, it just, my heart just, I just feel so much for that person. I can be in that person's shoes, their emotions. I have a lot of compassion. So
Absolutely. And you're totally right in saying the 33 steps and the 33 vertebrae, the 33 years of Christ's life, 33-degree Freemasons holding the sacred knowledge. The 33 is very integral and important to our life in this reality. And I think it's kind of important to maybe start in the beginning of the video here. And because Jesus said in Matthew 13:11, and quote, to you, meaning the disciples it hath been given to know the secrets of the reign of the heavens, but to these, and to these meaning the public, it hath not been given. So Jesus was straight up, giving the straightforward knowledge to his followers, but to the public, he was giving the watered down parable version. And this was also done on purpose. He was intentionally deceiving people. So we have the first words of the Bible are in the beginning, which is in the New King James Version, and in the English translation says, in the beginning, God creates. But in the Hebraic translation, it states, in wisdom, Elohim creates. And also in the Hebraic translation, the word El is God and is masculine, and the feminine version is called Eloah. And in the Hebraic translation, the word Elohim is plural, which means gods and goddesses. So within the first sentence of the Bible, we've gotten that God is androgynous, right? Which means the angels are also androgynous. And what did they do? They created Adam in their image, which, you guessed it, that image would be androgynous. In Genesis 1:27, God created man in his image, and in the image of God created he them, right? Male and female created he them. Now, again, this is all metaphorical, right? It doesn't mean Adam was actually androgynous. It's telling you a story about how things work in this reality. Adam and Eve never existed. These are stories. They're metaphors. They're allegories. And if you don't believe me, look up Galatians 4:22, and it says, it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by a bondmaid and another by a free woman, but he who was of the bondmaid was born after the flesh, and he who was of the free woman was by promise, by which things are an allegory, right? And this was the verse that was in the beginning of my video, Sexgate, and the symbolic and allegorical nature of the Bible. And then I explain it, later on in the video, around 25 minutes in. And that verse alone completely destroys the Bible as a literal historical text, because what it says is Abraham and his sons are an allegory. They aren't real. They never happened, which means Isaac, Jacob, Hagar, Sarah, none of them ever existed. They were a story. They were an illustration. And if they didn't exist, then that means the tribe of Judah never happened. And the country of Israel is based on a falsehood, right? Which we know that.
Yeah, the Israel, oh gosh, yeah. Every time I say is real, the word Israel comes up. I'm like, what the heck? And then before you go on real quick, because I know we're going to get into the name of Israel and the Trinity on all that. But right, let's go back to the beginning when we talk about the Matthew 13:11, where Jesus was saying that to his disciples. So that right there, the deceiving is left hand, right hand path that the Masonic, we'll say culture or peoples, as long as your left hand doesn't know what your right hand is doing. I mean, that's totally deceiving right there. And it's giving a permission to people to, we'll say sin, because sin is something. I had it written down a while back. But really, what is sin? Right? And they meaning the Masonic, that will say the ETs and the agencies, here the way this world works is just black and white. They want us to be kept in duality, the right or wrong, the what life matters, this life matters, like, my goodness, now going to the Elohim, and if you look up the Chitikauda or Chitaura, there is a ET species where this prophet in I believe South Africa was talking about how the Chitikauri they were a species where they're kind of like reptilian. They had the eye in the middle and then the two eyes, right? They came to Earth, supposedly. And this also, you all can look up Ashiana Dean with Voyagers. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about there. But how the humans were taken to a chamber and divided into male and female. They were given a choice. Okay, do you want to be a male or do you want a female? Now, that could be another story. Then those, will say, gods and goddesses had sex with the humans. So it's all about sex. It's all about, pretty much, it's all about the bloodline. Okay, it's all about how they can control humanity, how they can feed their Oisidex matrix, their phantom matrix, all of that. If you all have seen those videos, I know you, Ryder, had said that yes, you had seen those videos with Ashiana Dean, and one of these days I'm going to get a hold of those 2 books that she wrote, because those are like gold to me. But anyway,
They
now,
are really good. I have watched those videos. I've watched a lot of Ashiana Dean's work. It's incredible the kind of knowledge that she has. She has names for everything, all the different races, and she has a completely different kind of rendition of the Bible. But you brought up something really important in there, that about the ET component, because the word Messiah actually comes from the snake ET god deity Mesh, MSSH, and it was a old Egyptian snake god deity that the old Egyptians used to worship. And then when vowels were invented, Mesh became Messiah, right? So the people that and then Messiah was then inserted into all the world's religions, and all Messiah means is that you've been anointed with oil.
and then
That's all
mass, right?
the word Messiah means. It, but what they've done is they've hijacked it, and they've whenever you're actually giving your praise and worship and thanks to a Messiah, you're actually giving your praise and worship and thanks to a reptilian snake god. Just like when you say amen at the end of your prayer, everyone basically knows in this community, when you say amen, that you're actually paying homage to Amun Ra, the Egyptian god Amun Ra. You know, all of this stuff has been hijacked and turned upside down, and the meanings have been twisted and inverted so that we have absolutely no idea what's going on. And we're actually, our energy and our praise and our thanks and our worship, we think that it's going to going one place, but it's really being siphoned off and taken to another place.
Definitely. You know, I was looking up Lucifer in this thing here. It's called the New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible. And only in one place does it ever say Lucifer. There's a bunch of L for love and a bunch of L for Lord. Which Lord? There's so many lords, right? And
yeah, the only time Lucifer was ever mentioned was in the Bible, in the book of Isaiah 14:12. Says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" But that was actually a mistranslation of the word Lucifer in the Bible, when it was translated from the vulgar shining one, or morning star, translates to Lucifer. But when the Vulgate translation, the Hebrew Halal ben Shalar, shining one or son of the morning, it became Lucifer, and it got connected to Satan and the devil, whereas the light bearer or morning star in the original translation should refer to the planet Venus. But again, it's been hijacked and, you know, broken down in that way. And really, if you look at the word etymology of the word Lucifer, which my friend Paul Knight really broke down the word Lucifer for me, and it put a lot of different pieces of the puzzle together. When you look at the word Lucifer, the first 2 letters are Lu, right? Lu, and translated into Latin means the word that, right? And then it also means the word that in Old Latin as well. And in Italian, it means him. And in French, it means the him, which also the word lu derives from the word illum, right? Which is very close to the word illumum, which illumum is the pelvic bone, uh, that if you actually light up the pelvic bone in red with the hips, without the hips being illuminated, because the hips are the wings, right? If you just light up the middle of the pelvic bone, you get what looks like a devil or a demonic entity, which then just confirmed my whole theory that the Bible is all about sex and intercourse, and the the introduction of the orgasm into mankind and the creation of desire and lust. But then also, if you switch up the word lu in the first two letters of Lucifer to into LEU, which is just a different way of looking at it, LEU means to lessen or divide or cut apart. So you get the LU, which means lessen, divide, or cut apart. And then you can look at the other part of the word, which is CIFER, which we all know what that means is cipher,
Yes.
right? Cipher, ciphering something,
Cipher
meaning
the light.
that,
Yeah, that's what I
yeah,
had written down. Ciphering light, morning star. Real quick, light bringer. We all know that fell from the heaven, but brought down to Eden. I just think it's the Garden of Eden too, where we live. That's just me though. Babylon, USA. It's and then you say it was Venus, so it's like okay, the morning star. You're right, but keep going. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt
no,
about the.
it's okay. It's a really good information. But whenever he broke that word down for me, I was like, okay, well, it really translates to the video that I done, Sexgate and allegorical and symbolical nature of the Bible, and meaning that Lucifer is something that needs to be ciphered, right? And you got to read in between the lines, cipher. And again, the word Lucifer was only mentioned in the Bible once, like I just mentioned, but it was a mistranslation, right? So, when you break down the word Lucifer, it's a word that's been inserted into the Bible to let us know that there's a cipher to be unlocked, a code, a secret meaning, you could say. And again, that ties into the information that I have as well, and that it's all written. The Bible is a confirmation that the Bible's been written in code, and it's not meant to be taken literal. It's meant to be ciphered. It's meant to be ciphered. So that was really mind blowing for me when he broke that word down for me.
Oh yeah. And when you were mentioning the left and right hip, automatically I saw it in my head. And then I also saw how where the left and the right side, your brain, the temples are in between. You talked about that as well. And it's cast your la
Net to the
red,
right side.
yeah. What is it in English again?
It's
Cast
casting your net to the right side.
the net, yeah, net to the right. So it's funny because I know this may be off topic, I don't know, but how I learned to listen was you use on your phone, you use your corded, ear thing on your left. You leave your right one open. And that's also one of the agencies, the way they teach as well. And when I was in police work, okay, the left is usually taking in information, the right is creation. Before, when I was involved with the Love and Light community a lot, I got into the new age thing, and it was like, oh, well, the angels speak to you on your right side, so you want to keep that open. I'm like, what? Now it's like, no, I speak to myself, like I can hear myself more, and the other part of creation to my right. They always said the left and the right brain, mammalian and the reptilian side. If you think about it, even Max Mears talks about how they gave us both brains, and we're kind of like going to war with one another, each other, ourselves every day, because
Yeah.
left, do either, are you going to be in the dark side, the light side, the wrong, the right? It's going back again to duality. They want to keep us here with duality. So
Yeah, the whole Jesus saying cast your net to the right side he wasn't talking about the right side of the boat. He was talking about casting your net to the right side of the brain, to set at the right hand of God, to set at the right hand of the throne of God. That's what it means, is to unlock the right hemisphere of your brain, because the majority of the population on the planet is operating out of the left hemisphere of their brain, which is very analytical, very critical.
robotic.
They Yes, exactly. And the right side is more creative. It's more loving. It's more has all of your creation side on the right side, and that's what he was trying to relay that information through parables, is to unlock the right hemisphere of your brain. That's what the communication that he was giving to his disciples and his followers, but he was giving in code to the public.
And speaking of codes, real quick, because I had written it down before I forget. Ashiana Dino also talks about like the Ark of the Covenant was actually a portal. It was not a boat. It was not, so it's like we all came through that. This was during the time that Enoch was trying to get his people, we'll say, because Enoch came into the Ark of the Emerald Covenant with Thoth and the Luciferian and the Satan, right? There's a group of ETs that are called the Satan, all in a group, right? They were trying to get the people that had the 12 strands, the angelic humans, right, with the indigo crystal children. They were trying to bioregenesis, the whole bioregenesis program thing. And so when the deluge came in, Enoch was like, you know what, I'm just going to tell a few good men, we'll say a few good humans, the good slaves, we'll get them up on the boat, right, quote unquote. And they wanted to save the certain species, right, to bring them where we are now. We could talk about the fourth dimension, third dimension, all that soon. I was getting to a point.
I mean, that makes complete sense that it could have been a portal, because Ashiana Dean also talks about how you have to activate your 12-strand DNA to actually go to a different dimension or a different reality, or escape the planet. And how you do that is through a portal. And then it correlates to the Ark of the Covenant, because a lot of the public, whenever they would go around the Ark of the Covenant, they would die. Like, they wouldn't be able to be around it if they touched it. There's a bunch of instances and verses. I can't quote them right now because it's difficult for me to remember those, because I studied them back when I was putting my presentations together. But there's a bunch of verses where people would die just from being around the Ark of the Covenant. It actually eliminated an entire town, an entire population of people from just being around it. And it makes sense, because the way that she talked about activating your 12-strand DNA by going into a portal, if it's not activated, then you would spontaneously combust. You would just automatically die. So it makes sense that it could have been some kind of artificial kind of portal.
You know, now that you're talking about that, remember when Moses was given the tablets, and he had seen the light, right? The burning bush. Well, we already know that's kind of like DEW. That's kind of like the DEW weapons that they have now, the plasmoids and stuff, the nanotechnology, all that. So that, to me, that's what it was. And then when they said, oh, we couldn't go in to see the priest, we'll say, you have to be covered because of the light. So it's like, it just sounds like he was in another dimension, like kind of like when, you know, when in Star Trek they ask for Earl tea or Earl Grey tea, and boom, it's like right there, it just fizzes in and fizzes out. I forget.
Yeah, and then there's also, I think, wasn't Moses partly blinded for a certain period of
Yes.
time whenever he saw the bush too. And then there's other instances in the Bible where people have gone blind from just being in the presence of God as well.
You know, pretty
So
much, I feel that it's because you go through a wormhole, you go through a portal whenever you're summoned by these ETs, we'll say. And I think it's just, it drains you. It totally drains you. I was using the program to go through wormholes and portals as well since I was 3 years old. You know, they started injecting me with those nanobots at a year and 8 months. So, because I can still go through those portals and stargates. That's one of the reasons why the angelic human with the crystal and indigo, DNA, we're here holding the 12 gates and the 12 Q sites. We are here. We are the keys to this earth, you know. They will say they, you know what I mean by they, but they use us for that, we're pretty much the gatekeepers. Going back to real quick, this thing here that I wrote down, where is it? So, okay. When I was in 4th grade, I won this thing where I did the whole states and capital. Me and another little boy went and we won this thing in 4th grade to go see the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I have very, very prevalent, you know, how you were talking about how people would just die or disappear, how their faces would melt when they would see the Ark of the Covenant. That was like, yeah, you couldn't be in the present. So I just find it interesting. Radiation, could it have been a ship? You know? So
it could have been an old school kind of craft or something, because we know that the Germans, whenever they were first engineering their craft, they had a problem with radiation, and they were basically sacrificing their people by putting them on board these craft with high amounts of radiation, and it took them a while, and I believe that they got help from a ET species to figure out how to eliminate the amount of radiation that was coming off of the drives of these craft. And I mean, it stands to reason that it could have been some kind of craft, because that's been a big thing that's talked about, like, well, why are these people dying? And it could have been a high amount of radiation that was coming off of the Ark of the Covenant. But then that doesn't explain, we don't know if a portal or something like that puts off a high amount of radiation or not, because I've never, to my knowledge, I've never been around a inorganic portal or even a organic portal. But I mean, I would assume that there would be some sort of electromagnetic radiation coming off that. I'm sure you know more about the portals and the inorganic portals than I do. Is there high amounts of radiation?
yes, and it affects your eyes too. I have really bad eyesight. When I came back, one of the times where they took me, I came back in 6th grade, and all of a sudden I needed glasses. Where I was used to sitting from when I was in pre-kinder, I was in Head Start, way in the back of the class. I could see everything, and all of a sudden, boom! I hit 6th grade, and I needed glasses. And then there's these little floaties that I've had ever since I can remember. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white, and the ophthalmologist said last year when I went, he's like, oh, it's probably because you're getting cataracts. And I'm like, what? Like, I can see things interdimensionally. I'll just be sitting out there, and all of a sudden it comes like the Matrix, like these little lines. So yes, radiation is involved in going through the portals and things like that. I have memories of getting ready to go through a Stargate, and I'm in just like a bathing suit, because I'm going to go with the dolphins, like we go swim with the dolphins, mermaids, people. So I have this little radio. It's real cute. It's a black radio with little like one of those stingrays, and then another one with like those bubbly ones, the ones that sting you. They're like clear. What are they're called? But anyway, that kind of fish on there. And when I turn on a certain music, and then I go through the portal. Another thing is when we did the Stargates when we were kids, a lot of the people that they used first were homeless in Seattle, Washington. They took a lot of the homeless there, everywhere really, but there was a lot going on experimenting back then in like the 80s, 70s. And so some of those homeless wouldn't come back. And those that did come back, they were like, kind of like vegetables. So when we went through, I don't know, we just have these because we are the bioluminescence, like I talk about a lot. We are the stars that fall, right? We're so powerful, man. If humans would only know how powerful we are, dude, they would
Oh yeah.
bowing down to these entities and wanting to have sex with these archangels. And I'm like, no. But go ahead, you go ahead and talk about
Yeah, we've been giving our power away to outside forces for a really long time, and we haven't realized that we have the power within us. We have all the knowledge and everything that we need within us, but we keep looking outside of ourselves, and that's why religion has become such a problem on the planet, because it constantly wants you to keep looking outside of yourself for solutions to your problems, right? It wants you to give prayers out to this deity, to this God that never even really existed, and because it's a metaphor, it's symbolic, and if it did exist, then it was definitely a extraterrestrial. It was definitely someone from someplace else, right? There's a lot of different things that's going on, and I think a lot of it, none of it is meant to be taken literal, right? Like what we were talking about earlier with Israel, right? It's just the name of three gods put together. It's Isis, Ra, and Elohim. Israel. It has absolutely nothing to do with a country or God's chosen people. It has everything to do with you, right? It's a trinity. It's a holy trinity, and it's about the man and the woman coming together, right, to create God. The alchemical process, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. There's many trinities throughout every single religion, and they're all saying the exact same thing. Jewish trinity is Cathar, Chokma, and Bana. The Hindu trinity is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Egyptian trinity is Osiris, Horus, and Isis. It's all depicting the same exact thing, right? When man and woman come together, you are God. We are gods. It's the unity of three, the three expressing itself as one together in order to create. The one has to divide itself into two. And you see, when you look at it like that, you see how the separation here, and how we've been separated and cut off from each other in this 3D physical reality, because we used to be one, right? But not anymore. So you can see the whole Bible is taking is talking about this duality and polarity between male and female. The tree of knowledge and the tree of life in the garden is also depicting that exact same thing, the duality and the polarity, right? And sex in the time of Adam and Eve was sacred, like you were mentioning earlier. And they can be inserted on how we procreate, because everyone back then in the time of Adam and Eve was they didn't have to orgasm in order to procreate, right? And all of the children back then were all divine child, and the orgasm was basically unknown to them because it wasn't needed. And this gets into the immaculate conception and all that. And immaculate just means clean, without moral blemish, right? It doesn't mean that you don't have sex. It means that you have sex without the orgasm, and that's how you produce a divine child. The whole immaculate conception thing is completely ridiculous and has no bearing in reality. You have to have sex to produce a child, but it's sex without the orgasm, right? And the tree of knowledge, when they ate it, they discovered the orgasm, right? And then they were able to procreate on their own without the guidance of the Elohim in the temples, right? And the temples are, you mentioned it earlier, the temples are really temples of the mind,
Mhm.
right? In Acts 7:48, says the Most High dwell not in the temples of hands, but temples not built by hands are the temples between your eyes and in front of your ears,
Right.
right? And so anytime the temples are brought up in the Bible, it's referring to temples of the mind. It's not a literal physical temple, you know?
You know what I find really weird in sex magic, is that when they teach, it's about how to when the male and the female, whoever's having sex, they always want to call out an entity, a god or goddess, and I don't agree with that. That's witchcraft right there. I mean, I'm not saying witchcraft is bad. Oh, here we go. Anyway, if I could edit this part, we would edit it. But so
No,
anyway,
you're completely right in saying whenever, a man and a woman are having intercourse together, they normally, well, it's really not the man. I have found the man doesn't normally call out to God. The man is normally more gruntal. He doesn't really say too much. He's more grunting, but the woman is normally calling out to God. She's
yeah,
saying, "Oh God, oh God, oh God,"
right,
and there's definitely something to that. And
definitely.
we know that, the God of the Bible isn't the real God of the universe. It's an inversion, right? So whenever you're calling out to God during any kind of intercourse, you're actually bringing in the wrong you're bringing in the wrong God, which then discusses, which is a really touchy subject with a lot of people, which is the antichrist, right? The Everyone's so worried about the antichrist, and the antichrist coming back and blah blah blah, and it's been programmed into the masses of the majority of the population, right? But wouldn't the antichrist really be the good guy, right?
Exactly.
Wouldn't we want the antichrist to come
Right.
back if he's the real adversary of this fake destructionist God of the Bible? Then he would technically be the good guy, right? I know
Right.
that's a hot
Feeling good.
take. That's a really hot take that's coming from me right now. But if you think about it,
Yes.
I believe that that's really what we would want, right? We would want someone to come in and take out this fake God that's been projected into the mass consciousness of everyone on the planet, and has created all this chaos and destruction. I mean, if you look at the God of the Bible, he's not a generous, loving, kind God. He's a destructionist, fearful, fire and brimstone God. And we can get into how many multiple gods that are actually in the Bible, because it's not all the singular same God. There's many gods in there,
Right.
so it's like, and I know that that's a really hot take to be talking about, but I think that that's really what it comes down to. And the antichrist might actually possibly be the hero of this story, and might actually be what we want. I don't
Right.
know.
Yep. I agree. Now, Satan are the gods that I see, ETs really, because we're gods too. Like I can't stand that word gods because backward is dog. I'm not a dog. But the Satan are pretty much connected to Jupiter, connected to the moon, connected to Earth. So it's like a triangle that siphons the people's loose, and somehow they keep that going, that technology going, using us, the bioluminescence. Now, I want to talk about real quick about the 12 DNA strands. Now, when they were doing the rituals, these ETs were instructing the angelic human to have sex with the Leviathan races and all the draconian races and all that. because they wanted our DNA. They wanted our 12 strand. They would do the rituals under the moon. Okay. Why? And they would call out the gods. Which DNA do you want to call? Which God do you want to call into this being? How divine, because you mentioned it on your video, how divine do you want this child to be? You know, and it's, I find it
Well,
very,
Gabriel is the god of conception, right? He's the angel of conception, and Gabriel is actually a region of the moon, and the moon influences all forms of conception on the planet. And Gabriel was also the one that instructed Mary and Joseph on how to have a divine child, right? That was the angel Gabriel, and
remember the
Gabriel
moon
also,
god,
yeah.
the moon god, one of the, so in the Arabic tradition, or in Iraq, I believe, and I had a friend who was telling me that he lived there, and a lot of the people there worship the moon god, and it's supposed to be a male entity. And I remember something like, I believe Noah or Abraham, one of their, either Abraham or Noah, one of them had their father, which their father was the moon god. So yes, they use the moon's energy. And I find that very interesting too, because well, I always tell people, when you leave this earth, like when you're going to leave your body, if you choose to leave your body and leave and never reincarnate, don't go to the light. Because what they do is they generally take the souls back to the moon, erase the memories, and then start all over again there. Like if you see the movie The Matrix, when, you know, he's plugged into that thing.
The moon recyclization, soul recycling station on the moon, yeah.
So if they wanted to bring in an entity that had lived here, we'll say many moons ago, right? And they do this thing, this ritual, and they're going to call in whoever they want. So we have to be very careful. I was listening to George Cavasilas the other day. I invited him to come on the show, but I have not heard from him. He was saying that he's trying to get away from the God thing. Like, stop saying, oh my God. Like, because every time you say that, and I've even done a video like last year about that too. It's like, the more we say that, the more power we give to these gods. So how I see it is that this is what I see is that the Vatican has the Satane and the Luciferian, and the Christian church has Zeus. And I've always said this, when you say Jesus, that's Zeus. If you go on ahead, you know, this is for the public, and look up the Ashiana Dean, there's 3 Christ. Really, Joshua 12 is the 12th strand, the Christos, with the K, where we come from, meaning crystal being. Okay, I identify with that a lot. Now, and then we go in through that race. I always tell people, if you have an M on your 2 palms, that to me is mermaid and also Mary Magdalene bloodline, the Solomon bloodline. That they're after our blood pretty much, because we hold 12, 24 strands. How many strands? 48 DNA strands. We are the shit. Excuse my language, but we are it, people. And you're still bowing down to these GODs, dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up something really interesting there about incarnations too, because I believe that a lot of the electromagnetic fields that we have encompassing our entire planet is actually keeping high vibrational souls from incarnating onto our planet into a 3D avatar. It actually splits them apart. It keeps them from coming into a full incarnation. So they're kind of stuck. They either come in and they're split apart and they're fractured and they have to go to multiple people because of the electromagnetic fields that we have all around our planets. You know, the G's. I don't want to say, you know, exactly what it is, but you get what I'm talking about. The 3G and so on.
The
is
OG. Just
yeah,
kidding.
the OG, yeah. But I think that's a big thing that they're really doing, and that's why they've encompassed a lot of the planet on here, so that they can not only track the incarnations of any full person actually coming to the planet, a full incarnation of any of these special people from the past that could actually come here and help, but they're preventing them from actually coming to. So if one happens to accidentally slip by, they would already know when, where, and how they were getting through, and then they would be able to track them and get to them. That's why they're not letting any full incarnations of any of these beings, come back. They have to be splintered and they have to be fractured, so that so no one has the full piece of the puzzle. They only have little fractured bits of it, and no one gets the full incarnation. I don't know if that completely makes sense or not.
Oh yeah, it does. And it just makes me wonder more. That's why they don't want us star seeds together. Because one of us is as powerful as 10,000 suns. So they have us holding the grid lines. They have us holding the stargates. Why is it that you live over there and I live over here? We're holding something, right?
Yeah.
And if we were to come together, not only would I find a fractal of myself with you, perhaps with the twinning program that they have as well, right? We can go off on tangents, but we won't. So I find it very interesting how powerful we are alone, but when we come together. And imagine having sex magic, knowing what to do and how to do it. We can transform lives. We can even move more dimensions easier and faster than we were to do it on our own.
That's why they've created this whole society based on meaningless sex, and porn is everywhere, and all these, and the degrading of women is being perpetuated on TV, and sexuality. They've turned it into a money making scheme, so that no one is able to figure it out, because that's really how you activate your Kundalini energy is through intercourse. You can't activate it alone, because when you activate it alone, you're activating it into this fallen system, the 7 deadly sins system. But when you're together and you activate it together with another person, a man and a woman coming together, then you actually you wrap your energy around each other, and then you basically ascend, and you unlock the right hemisphere of your brain, both of you at the exact same time, instead of doing it solo. Because if you do it solo, then you're activating it into the inverted system, and that's and to my knowledge, Veronica, I don't think anyone has ever done it before. I
Uh,
don't think it's ever been done.
yeah, very good question. If I have to do it solo, and this is private stuff, obviously, but I always call upon what I need to change, what I need changed for the world, for Mother Earth, for the innocent. Because I always say they're not taking half, not even a quarter of our earth. They're not taking our innocent, our plants, our animals. They're not taking our kids for their new earth. F Elon Musk. F all that. So whenever I have to do this stuff on my own, that's what I activate. It's like, you're not taking Mother Earth. You're not taking us.
I think that they have to use these certain people to be able to release their technology, because the suppression of technology has been crazily rapid. We know that we've had super highly advanced technology since World War II, and probably even before, for some elite groups. So they have to drip it out to the public, and they use people like Elon Musk to release some of the highly advanced technology, because
And
if they don't,
Eisenhower too. President Eisenhower. If you look up the Terra Papers, how he sold us pretty much to the gray ETs, we'll say, and the others for technology. He sold the humans. He gave those ETs permission through the agencies. Jose, to rape us, whether you be male, female, a kid or not. They don't care.
See, that's the thing though, Veronica, is I don't know if it was ETs or not. Right.
Exactly.
That's the big question. I don't think that it was ETs. I think that it was another human group that had highly advanced technology that we
They
needed to
had the
sign a
money.
contract with to figure out the technology, because if we couldn't, then we would be outmanned and outgunned. And we didn't want to do that. So we inadvertently signed a contract with another human group, and
Oh yeah.
we've been blaming it on ETs,
Right.
that we signed this contract with ETs, because it's the easiest and most explainable explanation, because you don't have to explain it, right? You can just be like, oh yeah, it's ETs,
Right. No,
then
I
you don't
know.
have to
I know.
explain anymore. But explaining that it's another human group,
Right.
that requires a level of admission and a level of responsibility that
Now,
would have to
if
be
we're gonna
taken.
talk about that group, we already know what that group is, okay? We'll just say it. We'll just say the NAZIs, or the Germans, in
Mm.
space, we'll say, because it's a combination of the Germans in space and the Germans here, okay? After World War II. Because what happened? Project Paperclip happened. The more of the experimenting with the sewing kids together, people together, the twinning program. So much more technology was given as a trade. The Aryan, if you look up also the Terra Papers, Aryan race, the Anunnaki, the SSS kings and the SSS queens. If you look at the triangle, one is the male and one is the female, and it's like these entities, or these wannabe ETs, are always praising this snake being, and it has nothing to, we could do the whole, oh, the snake is evil. No, we could do, snake is pretty much wisdom. Okay.
Mm.
But there are entities that they worship. The Aryan,
Yeah,
sometimes Aryan race. It came to be an Aryan race.
was the Aryan race a reptilian race though?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then the whole thing with the blonde blue eye thing is because the Pleiadians stole, according to Ashiana Dean, stole all those genetics, the DNA strands from the Sarai Proneosis race. So the Pleiadians with Nibiru invaded them. And we can go on and on and on back to more history, but coming back here, they thought they were the supreme races. Even Hitler was with brown hair, but he was infatuated because he was given these visions by these beings, we'll say, or these people in this society, right? They have the satanic rituals. They have all kinds of rituals out there to make this being believe that he was the chosen one to bring in those genetic codes. It's all about the blood.
And they just hybridized the entire race.
Yep.
And created a new race of extraterrestrials.
Yeah, because they wanted our codes. And they wanted their line, their lineage to keep living. Why is it that some of us have been married to these reptilians why? Because they want to keep their bloodline going. The Leviathan races would rape the women and until they could make sure that they had an heir. And a lot of women, right, a lot of women back then, they knew that these other DNA strands, these other beings were going to come in. So either while they were pregnant, ran off a cliff, or had a private abortion. Why is it that Roe versus Wade is so popular now? So
Yeah.
it's all about the genetic codes. It's all about the blood.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And but I really don't think that ETs are so much as to blame now for
Right.
what's happening. It has everything to do with us, and we like to um, explain it away and shift responsibility onto something that we can't verify. And it keeps us from looking at the real people that are doing it. And the real people that are doing it are humans. It's us. It's always been us. Now, not us as in, straight up the United States the entire time, but us as in, humans. And that's really the easiest way, to explain it is by not having to explain it. Like you
And
just
now
be
they're
like, oh
full.
yeah, it's all ETs. When 95% of it has nothing to do with ETs. I'm talking about the current things that are happening in our world. The 95% of the craft that we see in the sky for decades now has been us.
Right.
And it's not ETs.
Right.
And this is why the craft, in the early 50s and the 60s, and when all the abductions started happening, they were all, disc shaped tin can looking crafts, because that was the technology that we were working with back then at that point. And now
Right.
that we've advanced, we have all this exotic craft, plasma craft, morphine craft, cloaking tech, interdimensional drives, and all that. The SSP factions basically have our airspace locked down tight, right? They don't let any unidentified craft come into the Earth's atmosphere without them knowing about it. Now there might be a few that slip by, but they would have to have a contract with the SSP factions on the planet to even travel to the Earth. So that really skews down the amount of numbers of ET craft that are actually spotted. They've all just been misidentified, and the three-letter agencies have been infiltrated into the community to keep taking it back to aliens. That's what they're there to do, is to
Yeah.
keep everyone on track that it's ETs. And anytime any advanced technology that our military might actually have, they never speak on it because they can't speak on it. They're not allowed to speak on it, and they keep reverting. That's why the military officials and the three-letter agency people that are there in the community in the first place is to come out to the public and be like, to my knowledge, I've been in the military, I've been in the CIA, I've worked counterintelligence for the CIA and the DoD and all this. And we absolutely 100% positively do not have any technology like this. We are not working with any technology like this. We don't have any technology that moves in the air like this. You've heard several people talk that's got on there on, the mainstream news. All of those people, they always say that. And that gets everybody hooked into, oh, well, they've been in the military, they've been in the CIA, they know what, they definitely for sure would know if we had any of this crazy advanced technology. And then that gets them thinking, oh, well, if it's not us, then it's automatically ETs. It's automatically extraterrestrials. That's the huge deception that's going on right now with mainstream disclosure.
Right.
And that's what they're all there to do, is to shift the conversation right back to extraterrestrials when people start digging into the highly advanced technology that the military has had for decades, and other human groups, because it completely blows their cover. It completely destroys their entire agenda. And that's why they keep making it like a threat and something that we need to fear, that it's going to come and attack us. And it's a threat to national security. And that's another reason why the three-letter agency people and the counterintelligence people don't talk about the advanced technology that we have. So it's a huge game. And they're not telling us the truth, that 95% of the craft that people have seen, the abductions that has happened, has not come from extraterrestrials. It's coming from human beings, and those human beings are a part of the military and part of militaries across the world.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. And it's all about G Mafia. I gave a class on that. If anybody's interested in purchasing it, let me know because I have 3 available. Anyway, side note. So G Mafia, the smart cities, the drones coming in, the China, China, China. You know, there was this whole thing, this really silly video on DT when he keeps repeating China, China, and they make a song out of it. That has a lot to do with the G Mafia, which is Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, which is FBI, IBM, which is, you know, it could be Instagram, and Amazon. It's all a plan with a credit score to get people to give up their rights more, to bring in the emergency orders. I saw a vision in March 2019, sorry, when all this land thing happened, where I saw boots on the ground. I saw these vehicles lined up, and they had military here and all over the world, and they had these people in the vehicles give a white piece of paper to the military personnel. They want to take our rights away, which I reject that timeline. I do not consent. It also has to do with the skull and bones. They get together twice a year to decide who's going to run the country. Yeah, right. Star Wars program is also with the Labyrinth group, with CERN, with Hart. All, you know, the people are divided in the SSP group because of the stuff that I've been talking about too. It's like when Ashiana Dean talks about Nibiru leaving our atmosphere and then having Wormwood, which is Doom World, coming in, I see a bunch of like, you know, things happen to where the Star Wars program, all these people are Elon Musk, all of them, they're trying to open up, if they haven't already, I'm sure they've opened up a portal already, but to go through this wormhole, supposedly in less than 200 years, this doom world is coming in, and what we have to do, what they want with the 666, with the beast that they have under Antarctica, they want to move the planetary system. One side is divided. One wants to move Earth, that way that doesn't hit us and we're not destroyed, because they want to live forever and they want to be eternal, they want to be immortal. So the other side is panicking and they're like, oh, we better take, you know, a sample of this, a sample of that, kind of like the Noah's Ark, using an ark through a wormhole to take them through the new Earth bullshit.
Yeah, the arc ships.
It's bull. It's baloney, like they say. Really, you want a new Earth? You want to go serve these MFers over there on that side? You want to be with these agencies? Go ahead. I'm not going. I am not afraid of, you know, going back into dust. As long as I go back home, I'm fine. I'm not going to sell my soul. And a lot of people in the SSP, super soldiers, are making up this whole shit about, oh, we're going to fight these wars, and okay, go ahead and fight for them. I'm not on their side. I'm not on the Germanic side. I'm not on any side. I'm not on the Draco side. I'm not on anything. I'm on humanity's side. And that's why I keep talking. And that's why you keep talking, Ryder. And I'm very, very proud of you too. Got to get these secrets out, man. Stop. Now they want people to worship these ETs so that they can bring in the emergency orders. They can bring in the new technology, the AI bots, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Our technology is made for a data collection and tracking device. You know, they don't have to they don't have to tap your phone anymore, Veronica. You got your tracking device in your pocket. You know, that's really what it's all about, is a data mining for an AI system, for a on-world and an off-world AI system. You know, that's what all of our technology was given to us for that very reason. And not only that, they can infiltrate into your technology as well. Entities can come through your technology. They can come through your Wi-Fi router. They can come through your telephone.
Yes, they can.
They can, and then that's the big reason why they gave us this very limited kind of communications devices, because with an old style communications device, a wired connection, still using power lines and all of these cables and stuff, they can infiltrate from, if they have the source, they can come straight into your home, right? But if we had, you know, a lot of these free energy devices, they don't have a direct route into directly into people's homes or directly on the person,
Exactly.
right? So that's a big component to this whole thing too, is our technology. And
Spyware.
that's exactly what it is. That's why, like, I try and not, you know, post too much stuff online. Like, I don't use it strictly almost for promotion and promoting myself. Like, I try not post any pictures of myself anywhere or anything. You know, I have one standard picture that I use for everything, you know, because it's also it's a mapping of your eyes as well, right?
Yes,
That's what a lot of the mask were used for, so that they can get their facial
yes,
recognition software completely dialed in. Because if they
yes,
can track you by your eyes, it doesn't matter what has happened to your face, as long
exactly.
as they know. Because each person's eyes has um, a
Info.
a unique structure to it, you know. And if they can get that unique structure into their database, they can get you wherever on the planet that you are. You know, they don't have to have the details of the structures of your face, you know. And that's why they wanted people wearing masks all the time and everywhere that they go, so that they could map out the eyes of each individual.
Right. And then have you ever seen that movie? It's a Netflix thing. I started watching it the other day. I'm like, what the heck? It's called Better Than Us. It's the AI bots that are coming in. And, one of them, she's like their best prototype where she's could be a mother. She could be a wife. She could be a cook. She could be also, she's going to kick your butt if you threaten her family. So it's a weapon. They're trying to weaponize us. And then there's this lady that, she's brushing her teeth. And then it's like this, she talks to the mirror. It could be anywhere. And she says, oh, check flights for Sydney, Australia. And boom, it comes up. And then right before she's going to board, it's on her wrist. Boop. And then another guy's paying for his drinks, boop, with his wrist. It's the whole Elon Musk that I reject his timeline, wanting to put people up on, on these portals, on these supercomputers, whatever you want to call it, iCloud, uh, I just, I do not consent with that. And I do
There
not.
was another movie similar to that concept, not exactly like it, but it was called In Time, with Justin Timberlake, where they had all of the money and all of the credits on their wrist, and every time that they went in to purchase something or buy something, it would take time off of their life. Like their money on their arm was basically how much time that they had to live, and that's how they purchased things, with their time of their life. And whenever, if they ran to zero, they would automatically die.
What's the movie called again?
It's called In Time.
Wow.
Intime. Came out like, I don't know, probably like 10 years ago now, or close to it, maybe 8 years ago. But yeah, it was a really, really interesting concept. And I think it's going to be something similar to that. It might start out with like on this crazy, wild, stupid Agenda 21 timeline that they're trying to push us towards, which I don't think that that's what we're going to get. We're going to get something way better. But on this timeline that they're trying to push, they want the first is the wearables, right? They want the wearable
Yes.
wristbands and stuff, kind of like in that movie that Michael Bay directed, Songbird or whatever, where they you have to have the wristband around you to prove that you had gotten a certain medical treatment to get into anywhere.
That's part
That's
of the mafia. That's part of the technology. You're right.
but I think that that's how, on that timeline that they want, that would be the first thing that they would do, is some kind of wearable device that is also linked to your social credit score, and the way
Medical.
that you operate. Yeah, your medical records will all be on this
Oh,
wearable device, wristband. And then later on, it will turn into some kind of injectable or some
it could
kind of
even just be
holographic
scanning your
technology.
eye. Yeah, it could be just scanning your eye. Boop, there
Yeah,
it is. Like in
boom,
that
that's a good one.
movie. Yeah, that movie. I am no, not I Am Legend. Is it that one? The one
I Am
with,
Legend is the zombie ones where
yeah,
they
the one with the
develop it.
zombie one, right?
Yeah.
So the wife and the kid, they have the disease, right? But he's like telling the soldiers, scan her again, scan them again. And so, you know, they scan him, okay, you can go. But then they blow up the helicopter with his wife and the kid. And then what
Yeah.
they do is they just scan her eye. So I believe
Yeah.
it's the left eye that's going to be the, I call my left eye the sniper eye. Because you can see things in here. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think that's really plausible that they would do something with the eyes, because that's what a lot of it, this whole thing has, been about. Like I just mentioned with the mask wearing, it's all to map out our eyes and for facial recognition.
and they can tell if you're lying or not because they can see. This one, you're making shit, either your creative side, you're going to make shit up, or the left side, you're going to be able to see the truth, vice versa, whatever. So one part of your brain is like making stuff up, and the other part's like, oh, they better not find out that I'm, covering, cover. So it's, I don't know, it's something like that. My mind works in mysterious ways. But going back to your video, Ryder, called Sex Gates, how do we go back to connecting with the divine?
Well, I kind of mentioned it already. That's activating your Kundalini energy and then unlocking the right hemisphere of the brain. And you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can do it alone, but like I said, I would not recommend doing it alone. I would recommend doing it with a partner if you want to attempt to activate your Kundalini. That's when you want to be trying to do it, is with a partner during sex. And it takes a lot of concentration and trust to be able to do it, because it takes moving the energy and knowing the right time. You really have to be in tune with each other, and you basically have to orgasm at the exact same time. And you have to feel each other and be
You have to keep
completely in
looking at each
sync with each
other.
other. And that's why I don't believe that it's ever been done. I don't think anyone has ever been able to do it.
What about the
Because
yogis or the Buddhists? All these monks that are always concentrating on stuff.
well, they normally don't. That's normally by themselves. Yeah, they're normally by themselves, and they're meditating for 23 hours out of the day. And yeah, you can get to a certain point by doing that, but you're not going to get all the way. It's kind of like whenever you're like how you feel the energy move whenever you're I don't really know how to explain it or use the right words, but whenever you're doing things by yourself, right, you feel the energy in the lower part of your body, and then it rises, and then it rises, and then whenever you orgasm, it gets released out the top of your head, right? Well, that energy is just basically going out into the ether. It's that energy is being used as fuel
Right.
to fuel a bunch of these different energies and entities to keep this whole system going. Your sexual energy is being lost. It's being taken out into the ether. So the best way that I know how to do it is to keep that energy to yourself, right? Recycle that energy right back through you. It's called anking your energy.
Yes.
So whenever you feel that energy moving up through you and you feel like it's going to explode out the top of your head, you imagine that energy going in two different directions, exploding out the top of your head. One is going right back down into your heart. It's going out the top and then circling right back down into your heart. And then the other one is going out the back of your head into around the center of your back or your lower back area, and that recycles energy, so it's not siphoned off and it's not just going out into the ether. That video that I made, it like I kind of demonized the orgasm, but we're already we're past that. I'm pretty sure everyone on the planet that's of any kind of age has had an orgasm before, so you're basically you're screwed when it comes to that area. But what you can do, and that activates a lot of different energies for you. It activates healing energies. It lets you rejuvenate your skin when you bring that energy right back to you. Now, it's not it's not going to be, you know, crazy intense like it's going to be whenever you let the energy go. You're not going to get a crazy
Right.
huge release, but it is going to elongate the orgasm in a bunch of different ways. You know, it's going to extend out your orgasm. Now it might not feel as good, but you know that you're not letting that energy go, and that energy is not being siphoned off to these corrupted energetic
Yeah.
system. So that's the only way that I really know how to do it when you're doing it by yourself.
I do
So
it that
that's just a little tip and trick.
Yeah, that's very important. It's kind of like the Merkaba body. You're keeping it going. The toroidal field, you're feeding yourself pretty much the magnetic energy, the everything. Our Kundalini is we're siphoning it back for ourselves, right? We started talking about what is Lucifer, siphoning of light. So I don't let them take away my energy either. Like if I have to do that, where I have to come to the point where I do orgasm, right before I do, I will call it out. What do I want change? What do I need? What do people need? I'll, you know, whatever it is I need, I siphon it through that. And it's thought, and it's going from my heart. And no, it's not going to be as like power. How do you say it? You're not going to be like letting yourself release fully, because when you're doing this, it's you're calling out that is not there as though it were.
Yeah. And also your imagination is a very good tool as well. You know, and definitely do not watch any kind of porn. Porn is the worst kind of thing, not only for your mind but your body, your physical, your emotional state. It really jacks with you on multiple levels. So if you're going to do it, it's way better to use your imagination,
Yes.
and even imagine things that you want to manifest in your
Right.
life. Like, right, it doesn't even have to be like hot, and you don't have to be, you know, thinking about another person or a woman or a man or whatever it is
Right.
that you're into. Like, think about things that you want to manifest in your life. Like, literally, if you want to manifest money, like,
Yeah.
orgasm to money. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm serious. Do
That's
it.
how I do it.
Think about money when you're doing it, and just orgasm to money, or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest to. And you know, a new
Paying your
car,
bills. Yeah.
a new house, a new living situation. Just literally orgasm to those things, and guarantee you, if you do it, something of that nature will come into your
Oh,
life
yeah.
in some kind of different one form or another.
Even healing. Um, you know, imagine the we'll say the oils of your spine going up, you know, and then going back down, like you said, and recycling new energy, new cells. I always talk to my DNA, my mRNA. Come on, guys, let's produce more red and white blood cells. I have a pain here. Okay, let's go over there, feed it some love, you know, healing. Your body is your temple. We have to take care of our bodies.
Yep.
Cannot abuse our bodies.
Your temple is your thoughts and your mind.
We
And
were talking about alcohol the other day, remember, Ryder?
we're talking about alcohol and how it lets things infiltrate into you. Yeah, all drugs do. Every single drug allows for some other entity or
Energy or
energy or some kind of thing to infiltrate into you, because it lowers your vibration. So especially, I mean, really any substance, any kind of pharmaceutical drug, any plant drug, it all opens you up on a level that you might not even be aware of, and it leaves an opportunity for some kind of entity. It lowers your vibration, and it opens up. It basically, whenever you do any kind of drug, especially like weed, psilocybin mushrooms, acid, LSD, Adderall, any of those kinds of any drugs that gives you an altered state of consciousness, you basically just open yourself up. You're basically like a giant light portal, right? And guess what? The lot of the dark entities and a lot of the dark people are attracted to. They're attracted to light.
Like the moth
So
to the light.
exactly. So whenever you're doing those, and alcohol as well, that's why they call it spirits, right? It's because it gives the opportunity. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen every single time that you do any kind of drugs or drink or anything like that, but it presents the opportunity for something to attach to you or infiltrate into you. So it's really important to have a clear mind and be focused, especially whenever we're doing this kind of work. It's very, very important to have a clear head and a clear mind, and not partake in any kind of mood altering substance or any conscious altering drugs.
Right. Yeah, because believe it or not, I do hex removals, and I go to people's homes and I take away those entities. I pretty much tell them to freaking leave. I show up and they leave. You can call them demons, you can call them entities, you can call them ghosts. Some are stuck interdimensionally because they don't want to leave. They want to keep feeding off of the people. Leeches, archons, parasites. Parasites live in the stomach and the in the sacral area in your brain. Why do our brains look like snakes? Why do our intestine looks like snakes? It's like, are we living in the snake world? Get
Yeah,
them parasites out. Even coffee alters the mind. Gotta be careful.
yeah, it really does. I mean, coffee isn't as as
Potent
bad as
yourself.
other other substances, but yeah, I would try and stay away from any kind of basically, if you can't go without something, then it's harming you and it's hurting you. Like if you can't stop taking something, whether it's
Every
for,
day.
yeah, if you have to have something every day, then it's not good for you, and you should not be taking it because your body becomes reliant upon it and dependent upon it. Now, I mean, there are instances and there are cases where people do need certain medications, and I'm not saying don't take any kind of medications. Obviously, if you need it, you have some kind of infection, you have really severe pain, you have something going on with you, then yes, you need to take medications. But if you're okay and you're healthy, you really should not be taking any kind of medications. But again, I am not a doctor, so don't listen to me and anything that I say. I'm just talking from me personally. I don't take any prescription medications. I don't. The worst that I take is an ibuprofen when I have a
I
headache.
avoid
So
those like crazy too. I'm like, no, I'd rather stand the pain. I'll just feel.
yeah. But sometimes it's really difficult and it hurts and it feels like a migraine and you got to take something
Oh,
to get rid of it. But yeah, ibuprofen is also very dangerous for you. But there's an agenda with the medications. I mean, there's a
right.
statistic that 90, don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it, and I'm confident in saying that it's at least over 80% of all people in the United States is on some kind of prescription medication. They're currently taking some kind of prescription medication, right? And there's an agenda to that whole thing too, and then it's very difficult to get away from, because then you also infect the people that aren't taking any kind of prescription medications, because we know that our water is recycled, Veronica. So whenever someone's taking some kind of prescription medication and they go to the bathroom and they pee in the toilet, the water gets recycled and we get that water right back, and it's almost dang near impossible to take out all the pharmaceuticals out of that water. So whenever you drink the tap water, you bathe in the tap water, you wash your clothes in the tap water, you're getting all the contaminated stuff from, because it's recycled from all the people that are on pharmaceutical medications, not only including the cancer causing agents that are in the water, the fluoride that's in the water, and then on top of that, all the prescription medications and all the waste that we dump down the toilet as well. Drano, all that stuff gets incorporated right back into to the water supply. So even the people that don't take any kinds of prescription medications, you're getting it in some different way. I mean, if you Google online your tap water contamination in your city, you'll see most all of them have 10 to 15 different cancer causing agents. They all have fluoride in them, and they all have at least 5 to 10 different traces of prescription medications, and a few of those being blood pressure medications, birth control medications, and the list goes on. So even if you're not taking any kind of prescription medication, you're still getting it in some way. Even if you're not drinking the tap water, you're still showering in the water. The water is getting into your skin in some kind of way, and you're also washing your clothes in the water. So
And
it's
that's
a
the
it's a really screwed up system that they've got going on that has even the people that aren't a part of it are inadvertently a part of it.
yeah, the laundry detergent, all that stuff. And then the people that got the baby Jabberwocky, the shredding or shedding, what do they call it? Shedding.
Yep.
It's just,
Yeah, that's exactly. It's to get a certain group of people to do it, and then it spreads out to the people that don't do it. And that's the way that they get away with a lot of their operations, Veronica. Any operation, any psychological operation, any kind of physical operation, anything that they're trying to do, all they have to do is get a certain number of people to go along with it, get them to believe in it, and then their belief transfers onto the ones that necessarily don't believe in it. It's a self-policing system, and they have it down pat, and they've been doing it for decades now. And that's the way that it's done, and it's the easiest way to do it, to make a certain group, a certain amount of people to believe in something and give their energy to something, and then the rest of the population inevitably follows along.
yeah, the hive mind, creating of the
Yep.
hive mind or the monkey effect, whatever they call it.
Yeah, the 12 monkey effect, yeah. Or
Yeah.
13th monkey effect is one of
I
those.
don't know.
100th monkey, yeah, that's what it is. The 100th monkey, yeah. We were both off.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
so
I never saw. Well, that was a movie, right? The 100th monkey effect. I think it was a movie. It might have not been a movie. I can't
it's
remember.
I think I talked to it about it the other day. It was like when a monkey is given like a squash, and then one of the monkeys decides to rinse it in the lake, and then all the other monkeys around him start rinsing the squash or the banana. And then in another region in the country, they find that now they're doing it, the other monkeys. It's something like that. Let me close my window. I'll be right back, but keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, they've actually done studies on, I think it was a group of rats, and they put opiates in the water of one rat. I forget the name of this experiment, but I'm sure people already know about it. But the rat would constantly go to the opiate laced water, and then they decided to do the experiment on multiple rats, not just the one rat. So they put more rats in the cage than just the singular rat, and the rats basically didn't drink from the opiate water at all. So it's really about connection and us wanting to be connected to each other, and the separation that's really happened because we've been separated since Adam and Eve. That's what the whole story of Adam and Eve is really depicting, is the separation of us as a singular person, a singular being, into two separate beings. And
Right.
we've been wanting to come together this entire time, and we've been searching for all this stuff outside of ourselves to fill that void within us, because we're not complete. So we keep looking for all these outside materialistic situations, and maybe not even materialistic, maybe just
Love.
worshiping other things outside of ourselves to kind of fill this void that we've been missing since back in the times that we were very first created, back millions or billions of years ago, however long you think that we've been here. And this has
Billion.
created this duality and polarity that we're currently living in. And that is what the reality is based on, is polarity. And you have to have both sides of the equation here to sustain a 3D physical body. Because if the Garden of Eden exists, it didn't exist on this planet as a 3D tangible thing. It actually existed in the fourth dimension, in the realm of thought and idea. In the fourth dimension in the Kabbalah is the realm of Dahath. And that's where it's said that the Elohim created Adam was in the fourth dimension. And then whenever we ate from the tree of knowledge, we were kicked out of the fourth dimension into this 3D physical reality of duality and polarity, where certain things have to happen here in order to sustain a 3D physical reality. So we get to experience all of the both sides, right? We get to experience hate, displeasure, anger, disease, and all this stuff on one side of it. But then on the other side, we get to experience love, passion, joy, happiness, and pleasure, and it's the duality of extremes, right? And I think that that's what's really enticing about us being in this 3D physical body, is that we're here for the experience. That's what all this is really about, is experiencing this 3D physical avatar and everything that it has to offer. Because I've never been to the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, or whatever it is that they're saying all that is. But I would assume that if you're not in a 3D physical body, that you're not able to experience the same things that we experience here in this 3D reality. You might be able to experience a similar version, but you wouldn't be able to experience it so intensely, right? You wouldn't be able to experience the intense pain. So then you wouldn't be able to experience intense pleasure or intense happiness either, right? It's a give and take system in this 3D reality. And the further you go up the vibrational scale, because that's what I think a lot of the dimensions are, is just a higher vibration of reality, the less physical things become. And the less physical things become, the less the duality becomes. But I think that that's the enticing part about being in a 3D physical reality, is that you get to experience all of the things that being in a 3D physical avatar has to offer. And that encompasses a bunch of different things. And that's just the way that the reality works. So the people that are, wanting nothing but love, light, happiness, and joy, it's not going to happen here. It can't happen here unless something really, really changes on a fundamental level. If the entire reality changes, but if it stays the current way that it is, it's not possible. Because to be in a 3D physical body, you have to have the both polarity and duality. So if you're all in love, light, happiness, joy, and peace and all that, then you're going to cease to exist in a 3D physical body, because we have to have electrons and protons to exist. You have to have the resistance to sustain a 3D physical body. Any physical object here, the phone, this can of energy drink, all has to have protons and electrons in them. They have to have the positive and the negative.
Yes.
If I were to take all of the negative electrons out of this phone, the phone would cease to exist, because it can't exist, because there's nothing going up against it, right? So if you sway too far to one side, then you no longer exist in this 3D physical reality. And that's what I try and really explain to people, that the hate and the anger and the dystopian kind of things that happen here, the tragedy and the suffering, right? Because I think that that's what this 3D reality is all about, is really about suffering. We are in the realm of suffering, and that's the default layout of this reality, Veronica. That is the default program that we're on, is suffering.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not a way to really change the reality unless we get a completely separate set of laws and a complete reboot of everything. And that's kind of what Max Spears was talking about, is that you can't have one without the other here. But he thought that we can. He just didn't know how it was going to work, and how that they were going to do it, how that they were going to get us into where we win and we don't regress back to the old way of the polarity and still sustain a 3D physical body.
It's about, you're right, it's about the separation. They want us to feel separated from, we'll say, I don't want to say the God word, because there's more than that. The where we come from, we'll say, from our home, from us, from me being a male, female, from more than that, from going past that, from going past source. Because I always say that source is also hijacked, because they use the crystalline beings that were part of us for their technology, right? So the whole peace movement was also made as a psyop to take away. I mean, if you're thinking, constantly thinking, oh my gosh, peace, peace, gosh, oh my gosh, peace, peace, peace. We need peace. Oh my, we rally for peace, but then there's no balance. It actually makes you feel that peace is taken away from you. You have to fight for peace where you already have peace. You make it up here. You make love up here. Make love meaning not sexual. I'm saying be your love here in your heart. Heart, mind, body, soul. Solar plexus, mind, body, soul, root chakra, heart chakra, pineal gland, crown, we're so
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Those are some really great things that you put together there. And also with the peace movement, the whole thing was completely hijacked too. And you can see that by the symbol that they were using. They used the inverted peace sign. Right? The peace sign isn't supposed to be going down, it's supposed to be going up. It's supposed to be the tree of life. Supposed to be like this, which I can't do the other one, but it's supposed to be up, but they got it like this, they got it down, like rooting us into the ground, right? Into this 3D physical reality. And that's how it's been with a lot of our symbols. They've all been inverted, they've all been switched upside down and inverted against us.
When you do your piece, you're separating. They're not together. It's duality.
Yeah, this is the true peace sign. It's what Jesus is depicted doing that. Also, the Baphomet is pictured, doing that sign, and that means unity. That means together. That it means separation.
Trinity, the 12th strand or 48th strand, whatever you want to call the highest that we belong to, right? The highest that we are. I don't want to call it the God because it's more than that, you guys. Plus male and female together. The rope, right? When in the Bible they talk about when two or more are gathered, the three,
You're ring, in the presence of God, yeah.
Like the ring, when you marry someone, the eternal, you need three. Yep. So
that's what it's all about. It's the three expressed as one, and in order to be three, be one, the three has to separate itself into two, right? The male and the female.
Like in biology, the meiosis and mitosis, and the one little, when babies are, being made in the lab or in the womb, because we all know we came from the lab, most of us. We got one cell and then two cells and then 4, 6, 8, 10, all that. So it's
if it wasn't a lab, there's a thing called womb gate. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever heard of womb
Yeah.
gate, but that's where you have your gestation period is put into several different mothers,
Yeah.
up to I'm not for sure the exact number, but several, like 7 or 8 different mothers, and then you're carried to term that way, and you're just jumping around in a
Yeah.
bunch of different mothers' bodies.
Yeah. Also to get the DNA strand codes as well, to get, entities, that entity and that bloodline and that bloodline. I want to make sure, I want to make sure that this human, angelic human, is born with this and that, and so
I think that's where a lot of the templates come from too, because I believe a lot of us are
yeah.
brought into this reality with certain DNA templates that our
Our-
DNA can't be genetically altered by anything. The only way that it would be able to be genetically altered is by etheric genetic alteration. But I think a lot of us are brought into this reality with genetic and DNA templates, so that our DNA can't be messed with, because we were supposed to live out this this reality exactly the way that it was intended to be. I don't know though.
I agree. So
Yeah, I think I have one of those genetic templates that now I don't know how that works with any kind of injectable stuff, but I think it's more along the lines that any ETs or extraterrestrials wouldn't be able to mess with your DNA. I think that
well, it's
that's
called
more of what
the Metatronic coding. Remember, Ashiana Dean talks about the Metatronic coding.
the
And
Metatron being the fallen system, the inverted system
that's
instead
what
of the
they
tree of
want.
life. Yeah.
They want to bring us, and somehow they want to get us coded. Because, Ashiana also talks about, and I find this very interesting, where she says that Sananda, which is Yeshua 12, the real crystals, from the real crystals founders race, where we all come from. Well, most of us. I'm not going to say all, because there's some zombies out there. There's some backdrop people. We ain't going to even go there right now, but you know what I mean?
Some NPCs out there.
NPC. But crap. I lost where I was going, but
You said Yeshua 12.
yeah, so the Yeshua 12 is supposed to be here to reverse the Metatronic coding on Mary Magdalene. And we are all, most of us here with the M's, with the Solomon bloodline. When the Bible talks about he is coming for his bride, we are the bride. Get it? Because we are the DNA, we are the part of the whole line of magi's. We are magic. We're
And
magi.
he's trying to come back to save a certain amount of people with this DNA bloodline, because if he doesn't, then it'll be kind of lost forever. I think is kind of what she was alluding to.
That's what it is. And that's why we're going to keep talking, because our bloodline is very important. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, orange, red, purple. It's your, what's your mission here? What did you come here to do? Or did you just come here to eat snacks while watching Netflix? Having sex and listening to all these effed up music? The memes? Are you here for the memes, bro? Did you come here for the memes? No, I didn't say the beams, baby girl. I said the memes.
I need the memes. I need to get my daily digest of memes on. I do like the memes though. I post.
I know. Yeah, some of them are hilarious. Especially, I love the ones that you put out there by Stranger Things. Oh, Stranger Things is near and dear to my heart. So.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for the new season to come out next month. It's less than a month now. I've been watching Obi-Wan Kenobi though. Have you watched Obi-Wan Kenobi yet?
Yeah, same here. You were sending me a message saying, "Man, I can't wait till the third one." I go, "Dude, I already saw it this morning." It's like, yeah, it's good.
Are you caught up? Did you watch the last episode?
Yes. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I watched it like at 2 a.m. the other night, right when it got released. Yeah, it's really good. I can't believe they put the Darth Vader
I
fight
know.
scene in the third episode. I was like, what are they doing? They're moving way too fast with this thing.
But
But
you
I
know
guess they're only going to do one season though. So one season, seven episodes, I think, and then it's done. So it's like a limited series.
dang, I'm watching it every week. Yeah, it has a lot to do with the telling the truth about the the tanks. You know, the Darth Vader is in the region tank. It has a lot to do with disclosure, you know, all this
Yeah,
stuff.
because they put Obi-Wan in a regen tank
Yeah.
too. Whenever Darth Vader threw him down into the fire, which I thought was super badass. Like
Yes.
Darth Vader trying to burn Obi-Wan Kenobi, like Obi-Wan left Anakin for dead,
Yes.
burning alive,
Yep.
and they threw him in a regen tank and healed him. I think what they call a Bacta tank in the in that, and they also have that in
Mandalorian.
the Boba Fett Star Wars show as well. They have the Bacta tank. He's basically in the Bacta tank like all the time in that show. I don't know if you watched the Boba Fett show or not.
Bubba Fett.
Yeah, the Boba Fett show.
Oh no, I
Yes,
haven't
yeah.
seen that one. No, but they also have it in the Mandalorian, where one of the Mandalorians is in a tank and he's going through a healing process, but he's going through all his memories.
Yeah, that's the Boba Fett show. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. I said it wrong. I noticed.
They came
Yeah,
out with two. The first one was the Mandalorian with Yoda, and then Boba Fett came in the second season. And then they made an offshoot of the show called Boba Fett.
okay,
It
yes,
has yeah, that's where they have him in the tank, and I thought that was really well done. Like they
oh
did
yeah,
a really crazy good job
very.
on showing the memories, and they were going back, and then how he got out of the Sarlacc pit at the end of a Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it was phenomenal, really
Yeah.
really good. But yeah, it's a good disclosure stuff too. I mean, they're constantly disclosing all kinds of technology. Did Sense8, they did the exact same
Yes.
thing. I don't know if
Oh
you
my
watched
God.
Sense8 on Netflix.
That right there, that's when I totally said I'm integrating all my altars because I'm gonna need them all at one point. And it's beautiful. It's like when instead of saying I call upon my higher self, I call upon my altars, baby, because that's me too. So it's like it's about healing all of our avatars, our altars, all of ourselves. Okay. Stranger Things, it has to do with the heart. Okay, trying to kill the human heart, the childlike heart. When she's thrown the ice cream in the rink, I remember going to the skating rink all the time and being kind of left out and weird growing up, you know, and I'm still to this day, I'm still about all about the heart, you know. Of course, you got your weapons here if you need them, but it's, you know, like Max Spears talked about that too. It's like trying to kill the childlike heart in this life.
Yeah,
You know,
it's all about taking over the heart, because if they can take over the heart, then everything else comes just as easy. But whenever you think about the name altar, right, and you dissect the
fragment,
name altar, you all automatically kind of have to think of alternate reality
right?
or
And then,
alternate version of yourself from someplace else.
right.
Right, and I think that's I released a video on this called the Secret
I just
Space
saw it
Program,
today.
and I think that that's really what's going on and what's happening is a lot of these altars that people are integrating aren't lives and things that they actually lived in this reality. I think that it's coming from someplace else. It's coming from a different reality. It's coming from an alternate dimension, an
Yeah.
alternate reality, someplace that it's not happening here. I mean, if you look at the Montauk Project and how that works, and opening up artificial portals and the fractalization of consciousness, all of the SSP people and super soldier people are involved in some kind of MK Ultra mind fracturing to some
It's
certain
horrible.
degree,
It's
right?
horrible.
So whenever you fractured the mind to such a degree, you would be able to take that fractured part of the mind, the compartmentalization of the mind, open up a portal or an artificial portal or a wormhole, and throw that fractured part
Yeah.
of the consciousness that you've done through the MK Ultra mind fracturing,
Yeah.
through that portal, have that section of the consciousness live out that part of the life, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years. That's where the 60 years and the 40 years and 20 year and back programs, kind of come from. This is just all my theory, right? And then the way that we know that time dilation works, it could have been just a few minutes in this reality, but 20 years out in a different reality. And then when that one comes back, they throw another one through. And that's how we get, all of these different alters, because it's literally the only explanation that I can come up with, and makes way much more sense than, all of these alters actually living out a life in this reality simultaneously. And people have multiple alters. They've the cubed, they've been split
Yeah, I was
so many
diagnosed
times.
with
So
that. Yeah, with DID, dissociative identity disorder, because of what they did to me. And it's horrible because you'll see some of the altars that come out sometimes, and it's like I don't, that's why I don't like to look at the videos, because I'm like, oh crap, now Chandra came out or the Hulk came out, But yeah, it has a lot to do with the age regression, and then the radiation, all that we were talking about earlier. We have the region tanks. Um, so real quick before I forget, you talked about the 7 deadly sins, and that's been on my mind for the past year. Last year I was like, I want to do a series or a video on the 7 sins, because I remember studying that when I was in high school, and it's gluttony. We have a lot of that stuff is happening more so now because of this whole plan thing, right? A lot of gyms were closed, more food at your door, you know, right away. And then medical insurance bills keep going up. And it's all about the agenda 2021, 2023, getting rid of people. Why? Because when there is 9 billion of us that are all hive mind telepathic, then we're going to blow some crap out of here, but at the same time, I do get that theory to where they don't want 9 billion of us becoming telepathic because we would change the world faster. I believe that we can do it also, like on our own. I lost my trail of thought. Crap. May I have my
well, I think that another hot take here. I think that they have to depopulate a lot of the people, and that sounds horrible. And it's not that we are actually overpopulated. There's enough resources for everyone here. We're only at what, nine. I don't know the exact number of the worldwide population, but basically the entire population can fit into the state of Alaska, right? And everyone live at a safe different distance from each other and live happily, right? It's not about overpopulation. Some of it has to do with resources, and also being able to reveal the technology that we have, right? Because if we have as many people on the planet that we do now, and everyone, and then they decided to, release this technology, there's too many indoctrinated people. There's too many people that have been listening to the news 24/7 their entire life. There's too many people that's stuck in religion that isn't going to accept this new way of doing things, because they've been fighting for the old way of doing it, right? So the only way that they can really shift the tides and turn things is to unfortunately get rid of a large percentage of the population. And that's the way that they're thinking, right? Now that's not the way that I think that it should go, but unfortunately that's the way that we're going to get. They're going to get rid of a lot of the population, because they have to, in order to create a new system that's beneficial for everyone. Because you can't hold on to the old ways of doing things and get a new beneficial system that's for the highest and best good of everyone on the planet. It creates way too much opposition, and you'll have too many people holding on to an old broken system that no longer serves them.
Yeah. And also it kind of reminds me of like when they were looking for that one baby boy, killing all the firstborns.
Yep.
They're trying to look for the original, the original bloodline, the O negative. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for anything that has superpowers. We are
Absolutely.
we are
That-
Superman.
That's what all the testing has all been about. They're trying to locate and track down different genetic material and different kinds of bloodlines, and they do that through the DNA, and it's been a huge DNA harvest. And who knows, and I think that that whole thing has been for a DNA on world and off world database of all the different DNA, because I believe that that's what the whole mission from a lot of the extraterrestrials that were teamed up with the human groups, that was their goal, was to collect the DNA of a lot of these a lot of humans, so that they can track their genetic material and track their bloodline and
Not only
have their
that
DNA.
though, sold too, because I was sold to different as a, for mercenary, for as an assassin too. So it's like they're playing our blood. They're selling it in the Fortune 500, S&P, New York Stock Exchange. Our blood is gold, more than monatomic gold. It's worth more than that. And
Well, they've been selling us on the stock market forever. That's what our birth certificate and our social security number is all about, is an exchange of wealth. That's you know, I'm forgetting his name. He just passed away. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
you mean number 67, the one that came out on all the gang movies, Ray Liotta.
No, very, very important person. I was just thinking about him today. I can't believe he's just completely slipped my mind. A very Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell. He disclosed all that and done all the information about how they sell us on the stock market based on our social security number and birth certificate. And that basically the placenta that that comes out whenever you give birth is basically that comes out with the child is basically our twin. And whenever they take our placenta, they're actually they're owning us,
It's so sad.
right? And he disclosed ways to get ownership rights back of your placenta, because that's what a lot of the hospitals are set up to do. They're set up to not only traumatize you whenever you're coming out of your mother's uterus by being held by some stranger's hands. You're only able to be in your mother's arms for a couple of minutes until the doctor strips you away. You're born into super bright white light, and not only that, they take your twin, your placenta. So it's set up in a bunch of different ways, and that's a part of it. Because whenever they have a part of you, they actually own you.
Well, the placenta has the rest of our DNA codes. If they were to leave our umbilical cord attached to our placenta till we're older, imagine we would get all the DNA strands, all 48 of them. You're right. They can create more than one person. It's more than one twin. I see that.
Yep.
So it makes me mad.
That's also why you're not supposed to cut the umbilical cord right away, and you're supposed to leave it there for a certain period of time. I'm not to adapt on the period of time you're supposed to leave the umbilical cord attached, but I know for a fact it's not meant to be cut right away like most hospitals and most people do,
I
because
would
it
think
has
that
all
it's
kinds of nutrients and all kinds of different things to help heal and get the brain working properly and correct. The way that we have done this whole thing has just been so bass backwards, Veronica. Our whole society has just been doing things the wrong way, and has been, and no one has stopped and thought, okay, well, we need to change this up. You
Right.
know, I don't think that a lot of it, honestly, was meant to be nefarious in the beginning. It just developed into something nefarious over time because nobody wanted to change it because of greed. You know, I think that's where a lot of these conspiracies actually come from, is because too many people were making money off of the way that it was, that they didn't want to change it. They didn't want to develop. They didn't want to turn it into something new that's better for everyone. So they kept it the same. And that's suppressed us. It's suppressed our consciousness. It's suppressed the way that we live. I mean, think about it. We're still using the same shit that we've been using for the past 100 years. Nothing has changed. Nothing has developed. You know, the only thing that's changed and developed has been our technology and the way that we communicate with each other. We're still using all the same stuff. We're still using the same boats, the same cars, the same trains, same modes of transportation, same microwaves, same refrigerators. And the only thing that's changed has been our technology. Why is that? Why is it only our technology has changed
Right.
and we haven't developed a better way of life? You'd think, by the way that rapidly our technology has changed. We went from freaking books to radios to televisions to homeland phones to cell phones to computers, all within like 30 years,
Mhm.
you know, 30, 40 years at max. Like if our way of life would have rapidly changed the way that our technology has changed, we wouldn't be dealing with 80% of the problems that we have now. But no, it can't. It's all focused into this. It's all focused into the computer and the technology, and not into a better way of life and making things easier for the common person.
Mhm. I just feel that this technology that they're it's a whole experiment that we're in. They want to see how we hybrids and others react, and how they can take us to another world or worlds. Um,
It is set up like that. It's set up like a simulation,
right.
and everything happens to see how we're going to respond and how we're going to react. And that's the only control that anybody has over their reality, Veronica, is how you respond and how you react to any situation. You know, we can
Yes.
try and control and manipulate people as much as we want, but in the end, the only thing that we have any kinds of control over is our reaction and our response to any given scenario and any problem that we face. There's too much energy being spent on trying to control and manipulate people, when in the end it never hardly works out in our favor and causes us too much frustration in the end, and too
Yes.
much wasting of our energy.
Right. And that goes back to stealing the heart of the person, the childlike. What the heck with all these selfies? What the heck with all this plastic? Everybody wants to be like the Kardashians. The fake meat that's going on now. It's selfies for everything. Somebody's having a heart attack, they're gonna take a selfie with the person taking a heart attack. It's like, how much damage are we from childhood trauma, from the 3D here, not only the super soldier program, but here with your freaking parents or loved ones? You thought that they loved you, but no, they messed, they child
Yeah.
trafficking, all that. It's how desperate are we for taking selfies? How sick are we in our heart space that we need to feed off of these people? I'm drinking a Coke. I'm going to take a picture of me drinking a Coke.
Yeah, it's become that way. It's become a social norm and a social conditioning. And you're totally right. Someone would rather video someone or take a picture of someone than actually help them.
or
I mean,
talk to them in person, or
you
talk like
see,
we are talking.
yeah, you see people all the time that whenever they give to a homeless person, they always have their friend recording them, giving money to the homeless person, right? And that's a trickle down effect. That's really from notoriety and wanting to be noticed, because that's exactly how all the elites and all the famous people donate to people as well, right? If any big name person, big star, big celebrity is donating any large amount of money to anyone,
Come to
they
Lord.
always they gotta have the whole newscast there. They gotta have the freaking cameras, and they come out with someone comes out with a big old huge giant freaking check, and then gives it to them. It's like that's a top down kind of system, and then we think that that's okay to do on a personal, real life level, not realizing that all that shit's bullshit, fake, and that any donation that they're donating to, they sit on the board of the sister company of the company that they're donating to, and it's just being siphoned right back into their pockets.
Yep. Money laundering, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a big, huge money laundering surface. I mean, situation. It's unbelievable, and people don't realize it, and they don't get it. They think that all that stuff's real, just like people thinking that, all these rappers and all these people and these idols that they're looking up to, they think that, that they have all this money, and all the money that they're throwing around in their music videos and all their chains and all their jewelry is real. All that shit's fake.
Yep.
All their money that they're throwing around in those music videos are all fake. It's for television money. The cars that they own, that they think that they have, is all rented and it's leased.
Yes.
The chains that they have is fake. It's all a big perpetual.
That grill money. They gotta get that grill money.
The grills are aluminum foil. Okay, you want to make you a grill, you want a fancy grill, go get some aluminum foil and put that shit on your teeth.
My daughter would do that.
You'll be just as fancy as the rappers that you look up to.
I'm not kidding. My son would make me grills. My daughter would get aluminum foil. They're like, "Oh, I make her a grill."
Well, it's worth just as much as your favorite rapper. I can guarantee you.
Everybody wants
just
to look like their rappers, and then booty. It's all about the butt now. It's like, oh gosh. First it was the eyelashes, then the eyebrows, or vice versa, and then the butt. I'm like, now what? The boobs, whatever. It's like, just accept yourself.
Yeah, just be your own individual. That's really what it's all about, and not be mind controlled and played like a freaking puppet. Because a lot of people, they think that they're awake and they think that they can see through all the shit, whenever they're actually being controlled themselves, and they can't even recognize it. It's all about the awareness, and and having your own thoughts and being your own individual, not being afraid of what other people think of you. And just doing your own thing, and not and just going through life like that, and not worrying about anybody else's projection of what they think of you.
Yeah.
That's
I find
really
it sad, like a lot of these people have these round tables and they all hate each other, but they're gonna have a round table. Gotta share them ideas. We gotta love each other more, man. It's like, do your thing. You don't have to fit in, but what happened to the love? First, we got to love ourselves first, self-love, and not give so much to the 7 sins. Real quick, talk about the 7 sins of your video. You mentioned.
Well, yeah, I already kind of mentioned it. It was basically when the Garden of Eden, which was in the 4th dimension, was all about the 7 virtues, right? They had the 7 virtues. It wasn't the 7 deadly sins. And whenever they ate from the tree of knowledge, whenever Adam and Eve ate from it, they were kicked out of the garden into the 3D physical reality from the 4th dimension. And the fire of Eve, which was running up through the body, like the Kundalini energy was running up, the snake was running up, it became inverted in this 3D reality. And then that created the inversion of the 7 virtues, which is the 7 deadly sins, which is lust, greed, sloth, I'm blanking on the gluttony, I'm blanking on the other ones, but Yeah, you can look them up and Google
Right.
the seven deadly sins and Google the uh, seven virtues. But basically, when that happened, the seven virtues got inverted into the seven deadly sins, and then that's being us in this 3D physical reality. But we have the choice to be on either side of the duality here, right? You can be on the seven deadly sin side, or you can be on the seven deadly virtue side, which where I actually like to be is straight down the middle.
Little.
Because what I've realized in delving into this topic and in creating that video Sexgate and the symbolic and allegorical nature of the Bible is that when you take a position and when you take a stance on something, Veronica, you automatically create the opposition to whatever stance you're taking, right?
Mhm.
And
You're
that's
right.
the way that the reality works here in this polarity and duality. So the best place to be is the rod, right? The rod is the center. The snakes
Right.
swirl up the rod, and then they're here. You want to be the rod. You want to be
Exactly.
directly in the middle. You don't want to sway too far to either direction, because when you do, you inevitably create your opponent. You inevitably create your opposition. So neutrality basically is what I'm saying is where you want to be. You want to be dead down the center, not taking a position on either side. And then that is where you get your peace of mind, your love and your happiness. And in this 3D physical world and in reality, you can make it the best that you can, and you can jump to one side if you want to jump over there, but always come back to the middle. You can jump
Right.
to the
Right.
other side. You're not locked into any certain belief system, any certain idea, any certain thought, and I believe that that's exactly where you want to be. And when you look at the caduceus, which the caduceus is the rod and is just metaphorically for our spine, the 33 vertebrae that we were talking about earlier, the 33 steps, the spiral staircase, the DNA is all represented in the rod of the caduceus, right? And that is where you want to be. You want to be the rod.
Right. Like, Moses is holding the two tablets, right? The 10 Commandments, two tablets, but then he has a staff, the rod.
Yep.
They're telling you right there with that picture. Look at all the pictures that they put in the children's Bibles too. Go ahead.
The I just wanted to look up the seven deadly sins and the seven virtues.
Okay.
I'm getting kind of tired, so I didn't
Yeah. We've been going for 2 hours already.
realize it. So the seven virtues are chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, forgiveness, kindness, and humility. Um, the seven inverted virtues, which is the seven deadly sins, is lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. So yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah, I
clear
find
that
that
out.
interesting. Sorry, because the seven sisters, the seven stars, um, they say supposedly that Orion took an affinity to the seven sisters and chased them for 7 years in the sky. So it's all interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the seven is really important. 33 obviously important. Eight is important as well. Eight is, the
23 also.
infinity. 13 is important. Yeah, the 23 as well. There's so much in numerology and word etymology and looking up the definitions of words. I mean, looking up the definitions of words and the word etymology really gives you the true meaning of the word, because a lot of our words have been hijacked. I mean, if you look at the great vowel shift, my friend Paul Knight has theorized that the vowel L shift was actually a contract that we signed with the Elohim gods, right?
Yeah,
Val L V
yeah.
O L-E-L, has the E-L at the end,
Yeah.
um, and he theorizes and has done research that it was a contract for the Elohim, and the Elohim gave us vowels, and that we gave them a in exchange for it has to do with money and commerce, and this great Valhalla shift happened roughly 1500 years ago, I believe, was when this happened. And yeah, he's a really great researcher. I'm actually bringing him on on Tuesday. He'll be back on my show. I already had him on once, but he's very smart, genius, very intelligent human being that's done crazy amounts of research involving all kinds of things. He has a really big, huge, open mind, and doesn't and looks at every single topic and looks at things from crazy different angles. So yeah, I'm really interested with talking with him. I've been kind of putting it off because yeah, I have to do a lot of research when I'm
Yeah. I like
studying.
to break down words ever since I was a kid, because I had a hard time with English. I would break down the words and look them up. I learned Latin and when I was in the Catholic Church. The Phoenicians had a lot to do with changing our, they had a lot to do with creating the English language, and it's pretty much to make spells. So, okay, Ryder, I know we've been going on forever and we can go on forever, but we can call it a night if you'd like, and we can do another video next time. Because I know it's probably late over there where you are too. So
Yeah, it's getting a little late, and I'm not used to doing these these interviews so late. But yeah, I really enjoyed speaking with you, Veronica. Thank you so much for bringing me on. But yeah, you're totally right in saying that that was a part of the contract too, was the spelling, because how else can you can't read without spelling. Words are spells, and also the vibration and the kinds of words that we use and the way that it rolls off of our tongue is also
the
spelling. I
intention.
believe that we were a highly advanced not psychologically, but psychically
Telepath-
advanced, and we were actually able to speak telepathically before the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And that because the word Babel implies that we didn't actually speak before then, and we were a telepathic race of beings. Babel means you just babble on and babble on and babble on. So if there was no babbling before the Tower of Babel, then that means that we didn't speak, we spoke telepathically. And then something came in and then gave us speech to where we were able to we were all talk. I don't believe that it was actual changing of the language. I think that the language came naturally, depending on how many groups of people got together. They developed their own way
Right.
of language, and they spread out all across the planet after the Tower of Babel, right? Because whenever you think of you think of the word Babel, and no one would be able to understand anybody if you were psychic and you were telepathically communicating before, and then all of a sudden you couldn't telepathically speak or communicate anymore, and you were able to actually speak. You would just blah 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 blah, blah, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be able to make sense of anything. So then people spread out and they all went all over the world, and they created their own language based on what their own way of speaking. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Veronica. I appreciate you bringing me on. It was a lovely conversation, and thank you. It was awesome to speak about the Sexgate video that I put together, because I put a lot of work into it, and it didn't seem like too many people really got into it that much, and I didn't get a
They will
chance to
now.
speak about it.
How
Yeah.
can they find you, Ryder, Mr. Ryder Lee? Where can they find
You can find me on YouTube at Raised by Giants. You can also find me on anywhere else you listen to podcasts on. You can watch me on Rockfin. I just got a Rockfin channel. You can subscribe on Rockfin. You can find me on Instagram at Raised by Giants Pod, and I think that is it. And Facebook at Raised by Giants. And I released 2 videos a week on YouTube, and I also post them on all the podcast platforms and on Rockfin. And I will be releasing premium content on Rockfin soon, but you can just sign up and get a free account, and you can watch all the content that I also post on YouTube.
Get some t-shirts going, raised by giants. I can see that. The logo.
I know I need to. I want to get my next thing is to get a website up so that I can start making merch and different things, because I can come up with some really good design ideas
Oh yeah.
for with the Raised by Giants title.
Yeah,
And
I've been wanting to make some t-shirts that have the EMF protection on them. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have my friend Mary Pardo on this I think tomorrow or next week, and she makes hats and beautiful things. And I told her, hey, can you make me a hat with a nickel in there? And she was telling me that costs a lot of money for the actual cloth that comes in already with the nickel to protect us from radiation and all that. So I'm
yeah,
like,
my friend actually makes crystal infused clothing that I've had on my
ooh,
show a few times. His name is Victor Ja, and he makes crystal infused clothing with shungite and
that's my favorite stone right there, crystal.
yeah, that's normally what he uses in a lot of his ink, and it's crystal infused ink, and then he puts it into the clothing. And then I
Nice.
think he does shungite, and he does one other kind of stone. I can't think. Amethyst, maybe it might be amethyst or pink.
Quartz.
No, not pink quartz. I can't think of. I don't know. My brain's not firing in all directions right now.
It's okay.
It's getting kind
Um,
of late, but yeah, the name of his company is called Huawei Wear,
okay.
and yeah, you can check that out. But yeah, there's all lots of EMF kind of blocking clothing. I think it's a really good idea if you're able to do it and make it work and it not cost a lot of money to actually produce the clothing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, send me a link whenever you can, and thank you, Ryder, for being on. And I'm very grateful for you. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, Veronica. I appreciate you.
Have a great night.
You too.